This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your part in the journey.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
Welcome back to another Mackem in the Middle podcast. We do remain unbeaten since we changed the name of it. 2-2 draw yesterday against Crewe with goals from Jordan Jones and Chris Mcguire. And joining me to talk about the game is John and Michael. Moving away from the game yesterday, you both doing well?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Yeah, outside of football, yeah, very good. Inside football, yeah, not great.
Oh, we will. I'm sure we'll dissect that in a bit.
Ups and downs of a Sunderland fan.
To be honest, I think that's a bit inaccurate. I think it's mostly up, down, 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 down when it comes to Sunderland.
Up and downs. Take away the SEO. Well, to put it straight and to put it simple, Sunderland did yesterday what Sunderland do. 4 excellent results on the bounce. You've beat Doncaster. You've won a semi-final. You've beat Burton, who you haven't beaten 4 years. You beat Fleetwood, who you've never beaten before. Optimism around our chances this season getting higher and higher, and then they come round, kick you in the balls, and do what they did yesterday. And John, given the way the game went, the performance for 75 minutes, which was nothing short of embarrassing, really. Getting a point from that situation almost feels like a win, doesn't it?
Almost. Yeah, it does. Yeah, almost. Obviously, it's a bit like a bittersweet. We could play that dreadful and still, especially from 2 goals down, because under previous regimes wouldn't have happened. So maybe we've seen a little bit from everybody. Because I think Johnson, with the changes, normally the changes don't make a difference, on games gone by. But it's made a good impact, and yeah, bittersweet, dreadful for 75 minutes. I can't tell you how. Obviously, everyone saw how dreadful we were, which was we'll go through why and that, but yeah, we'll take a point, shall we say?
We certainly will. And I said in the preview that we did earlier with the Crewe, and even after the reverse fixture, I think they are possibly one of the best footballing sides I've actually played this season. But when you start a game like we did, Michael, realistically, it makes no difference who you play against. They will find a way to punish you.
Of course they will. It's just I like Johnson. I can't find words to describe how embarrassingly shocking that first 75 minutes was. I don't know whether it was a formation change. I don't know whether it was tiredness or anything. I don't know what it was. But for me, I know it's an easy thing to say. And I know I bang on about this a lot. And it's an easy thing to say, oh, players don't want it. But for me, I felt the Crewe absolutely, first of all, absolutely bossed the 75 minutes. Should have been probably 3 or 4 goals ahead. We offered at best probably 3 or 4 half chances that really weren't going to go anywhere. Crewe were winning the second balls. They were winning, if they weren't winning the first balls, it was ridiculous. They looked like they wanted it so much more than what we did. And to somehow get a draw out of that game it just proves football is bonkers. It's bonkers because I can't speak for you two, but for me, we did not deserve anything out of that game yesterday. We were shocking.
Yeah. And John, I apologise in advance because I always seem to give you a very difficult question every single week. But what does yesterday come down to? Because Sunderland seem to do everything in the complete opposite of what any other footballing team in the world. Like, a few weeks ago, when we went 1-0 up, you're actually less confident than you were at 0-0. Most teams would go 1-0 up, 2-0 up, 3-0 up, which in fairness we have started to do more recently. But again, you've won 4 games on the bounce. You've beaten teams that you've never beaten before. You've beaten teams that are going to be up there towards the end of the season. Most teams gain so much confidence from that, they're going to run. Sunderland just don't. For large parts of the game yesterday, we had the ball. We looked worried, we looked anxious on the ball, didn't really know what to do with it. Does complacency kind of play a part in that?
I think maybe it's one of a couple of things. Like you say, everything about the club at the moment is flying. Obviously, new takeover. Louis Dreyfus has spoken to the players that have been on a real high. Obviously, we know the plans that are going in place behind the scenes. The results are going our way, and in terms of our results, and then results of the other teams are helping as well. So it's almost like we couldn't fail. But as Sunderland, as soon as there's even an inch of complacency, we know, as Sunderland fans, we are bang in trouble. I spoke about it last week when we're 3-0 up against Burton, and there was 10 minutes to go, and you heard Johnson screaming, "Just keep the fucking ball." Do you know what I mean? So we know one little slip, and we're sort of in trouble. Yesterday, I think obviously they started really, really fast. I'm not sure what we did. We almost seemed to revert to type as we did under Parkinson, and as soon as we'd had the ball, there wasn't enough movement in the middle from Scowen and Power, so the out ball was just pinging to the channels. And we've got Mckady who didn't do anything. We've got O'Brien in the channel as well, Gooch, and the balls were just aimless. They either went out of play or went to their play, their centre backs, and they just sort of played their way out. There was no pressing. I don't know where the pressing's gone. We had the odd player pressing, and if you're not going to press a team like that, then you're going to be in trouble. And they mixed it up as well. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes when they wanted to go long, they went long and direct, and it got them out. We went long, lost the ball. Again, we didn't use Wyke, and the whole thing just wasn't good enough. I'm probably going to contradict myself because I've been calling for Leadbitter to come out. But I think if Leadbitter starts yesterday, I think it might have been a bit better. Times we were under the cosh, just to calm it down, recycle the ball, because I don't think we did that very well. We panicked. Sorry, I'm probably ranting a bit here, but it was just all over the place, wasn't it? And I'm probably a little annoyed at Johnson that he didn't maybe change it up in the first half. It's tough if one of those players has to get called out and taken off, because I don't. There wasn't many who got over a 5 yesterday, apart from maybe the substitute. So they were very lucky to even come out in the second half as well.
Yeah, I think Lee Johnson even said in his press conference after the game, albeit, I'm not sure he's, it was 100% what he was thinking at the time, but he was saying 20 minutes into the game, he was generally contemplating making 5 subs, which, if you haven't watched the game, then that tells you all you need to know, really. If a manager's willing to change half the team that early in the game, that's, it shows how bad it was going. But looking at the team that did start the game for Sunderland, obviously Lee Burge kept his place in goal, a forced back three of Conor McLaughlin, Dion Sanderson and Luke O'Nien. Lyndon Gooch, Max Power, Josh Scowen and Callum McFadzean. Aydah Mckady, Charlie Wyke and Aidan O'Brien up front. And Michael, just the one change, Leadbitter on for Scowen, and it was going to be a question for John, but he's just answered it. We always say Leadbitter shouldn't be starting games because he slows us down. And he's a better player to bring on when you're seeing out the game. But again, contradicting ourselves, do you think Leadbitter probably would have made a difference if he'd started yesterday?
Quite possibly. Leadbitter, like John said, Leadbitter's good at just sort of, as simple as it sounds, keep the game ticking over in midfield, and something like that can be so massive because it can help you win the midfield battles, it can help you not get overrun, it can help you win the second balls, it can help you maintain some control over the game. I think maybe that, like, if Leadbitter hadn't got injured, for instance, I don't know if I would have started him in these next 2 home games we've got coming up. But I think a game like Crewe actually might have suited. I did say at the start of the game, actually, but I'm going to join the contradiction club here. I did say at the start of the game that I did feel Leadbitter coming out might have actually been a good thing, because I felt he would have got overran, because Crewe had a very high press. They've got pace, they've got strength, they're very aggressive, and their home form suggests that. I know there's been a few draws in there, but they have got things at the 3rd best home record, at least prior to yesterday, in the league. So I did wonder whether having Leadbitter in there would actually benefit the team. But when you look at how the game panned out, we got overran anyway. I think Leadbitter's got a bit more of a cool head in midfield. And it's a shame for the likes of, say, Max Power, who I felt was, like a lot of the team, very erratic. When we had the ball, we gave it away cheaply. And half the time, when Crewe were pressing us, they did it well. But it was because we enticed them from our own mistakes. So yeah. I don't know. Obviously, I know Leadbitter's off injury, so I don't know how long he's out for. But it's a shame, because if he hadn't got injured, I think for a game like, say, Portsmouth, for example, in 10 days' time, I think that might actually have suited him. But It just depends what you're looking for. Leadbitter probably could. It's easy to say in hindsight, but yeah, I think Leadbitter probably should have started yesterday.
Yeah. Well, the game got underway, and Sunderland started possibly worse than they have at any point this season. They were sloppy on the ball, as John said a little bit earlier. There was no pressing. There was no real intent to win the first ball. We were second to every ball, and it didn't take Crewe long to start capitalising on that. They had the ball in the final third a few times, but for a long time didn't really find the final pass up until the 30th minute. A simple through ball took our entire defence out of the game, really. Mandron, who was a nuisance throughout, he's played a ball in the middle for Porter to tap into what was pretty much an empty net. And John, no one really seemed to know what they were supposed to do. I think it came from a throw-in. The player that received the throw-in, he had so much time on the ball. Gooch and O'Brien were just literally stood watching. That's not an exaggeration. They stood and watched him. He drifted inside between the two of them. The midfield, I'm not entirely sure where it was. They've just played a simple through ball and scored from it. From a Sunderland perspective, that was just far too easy in comparison to what we've been recently.
Yeah, it is, definitely. I think there's a couple of things to go through. Like you say, easy throw-in. We don't press enough, especially with obviously McLaughlin, and I think Power might have been over that side as well with Gooch. There's no pressing. We've seen Crewe who are good at passing, literally just zip it round us. The defence is pulled all over the place. Obviously, we know we've got a bit of a makeshift defence. Again, McFadden's nowhere near the guy who has a tap-in the middle. He could, I'd say do a lot better, but I don't want to see a lot better from him anymore because I don't want to see him anymore.
I agree with you fully.
It was, and it all starts with me with the pressing. I mean, it has to be, and I'd even go as far as saying one of them's just got to take a stupid foul. I'll be happy if someone to get booked and just stop that counter attack. But we're still a bit naive in terms of that as well. So it just obviously set the tone. Obviously, we were dreadful before that anyway, and we couldn't match. We couldn't match them with our. We know we've got superior quality to them, but if you don't match their work rate, which is the same, when we used to be in the Premier League and we'd see it, if you don't match the work rate, then it's pointless having that talent, and that's how they showed us. Yeah.
Well, 8 minutes after, they went 1-0 up. They went 2-0 up. Mandron again was involved, this time on the right-hand side. He's put a ball through the legs of a certain Callum McFadden, who I'm sure we'll mention again at some point. And I think it's Tom Lowry was in the middle with another simple tap-in. And Michael, again, case of Sunderland just not pressing down the man, not closing them down and not stopping the cross.
There was just no aggression in it whatsoever. It was just we were far too passive. Both goals were absolutely atrocious defensively. Again, like you have talked about the first one. First one split everybody. 09, I think, was it let Mandro go at the box far too easily, and McFadden didn't get the putt, I think it was. And then obviously the second one for Lowry, I think you said who it was that got the second. Again, completely unmarked in the 6-yard box. It's basic communication. I know that obviously I'm probably a bit excessive in demanding to keep clean sheets because I know it's not going to happen every game. Players are going to make mistakes, but you have to try and minimize them as much as possible. And yesterday, again, like the warning signs were there from Crewe, like even before we went behind, we just didn't seem to heed them whatsoever. And that second goal again. When I looked at the goal back, I was determined to try and put some level of blame on McFadden. But to be fair to him, he did actually, even if it was half-hearted or half-arsed, he did try to put a leg out to stop the ball going across the box. So I'm not going to completely blame him. But what I am going to blame him for, and I'm sorry if you've got this in your notes and you wanted to mention it later, and I'm going to screw this up completely, that throw-in. What he was attempting with that throw-in at 0-0, I have no idea what went through his head. He's basically a throw-in across the box. He put Sanderson basically... He left Sanderson with a lot to do, and he missed the ball. Crewe should have very nearly and should have scored from it. Like John said, I don't ever want to see McFadden ever again, and I know he's going to play probably on Tuesday. For some reason, he keeps finding his way into the team. I am personally baffled how it's down to opinions, but I'm personally baffled as to how people can say McFadden is better than Vokins because I disagree. I don't think. I think with Vokins, like I've said before, there's at least an opportunity for him to get better. McFadden, that's the level that he's at. And I think John might have mentioned it before, I think either on air or before we came on air, You've been released by Plymouth, who were in League Two last year. Come on, that should tell you everything you need to know about McFadzean. Yes, I'm not sorry that I'm going on a rant about McFadzean because that bloke bloody deserves it. He was not the worst. He was definitely not the only one who underperformed significantly yesterday. But my God, he was bad.
Yeah, George Dobson version 2 all over again. Thought we got rid of him. We've just replaced him.
He's George Dobson. Sorry, Joel.
At least George Dodson could control the ball, though.
Sometimes.
Yeah. To be fair,
that's
yeah,
still progress.
I know it's different positions, but goodness me, I'd rather have George Dobson play at left back than McFadzean.
I think I'd rather play with 10 men.
Yeah, well, that as well.
Well, half-time arrived. We didn't make any changes, which I think a lot of people were a little bit surprised about, given how the first half went. We never once looked like scoring. I think Lyndon Gooch had a couple of half chances, one half volley that was saved, and then Wyke sent the ball into space, although he was offside. But we looked a little bit brighter in the second half, but still never looked like scoring. Wyke missed a good chance, one that 2 weeks ago he possibly would have scored, at least hit the target with. But Lee Johnson, as we know, is very proactive, a word that I've never mentioned, well, not mentioned much since our time in League One, because the managers we've had would wait till the 85th, 90th minute to make changes, even when you are 2-0 down. Parkinson would have probably brought an extra defender on just to see out a 2-0 lead and, damage limitation and all that. But he made 4 changes. He made 5 changes, really, because Ledbetter did come on and then went off with a dislocated shoulder, which you all hope is nothing too serious. So I think we'd all like to see him lift a trophy at Wembley, if possible, if we win it, of course. But Jordan Jones came on, Chris Mcguire, Carl Winchester and Jack Diamond all came on. Jordan Jones came on, he made a huge impact. He won 4 or 5 free kicks on the left. Mcguire was taking them. He's put them into really dangerous areas, but we didn't quite get on the end of it. I think Luke O'Nien came closest to getting on the end of one. But 15 minutes to go. Just as Danny was saying that we needed to get a goal and about how Jordan Jones was getting in the game, we did. What a strike it was. Jones cutting in on his right, smashed one into the far top corner from 25 yards, John. A great goal. And Jones really took the game on himself when he came on, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. You can see he's been a little bit frustrated. And obviously, to get a start, he's got to come on and, make an impact, regardless if it's, just a few minutes at the end. Because obviously he mentioned in his post-match that Mcgady's obviously been flying. He obviously got substituted for Mcgady, so he knows he's got to step up. And it was probably a little bit James McLean-esque in his first game. Just sort of ran at defenders and was winning free kicks, and they didn't know how to deal with him. And it was it gave us a bit of a spark, which is what we've been looking for. And then, like you say, an absolute worldie in the top corner. And regardless of Crewe's dominance and being 2-0 up, they knew we were back in it, and obviously, 2-1 is a dangerous scoreline. But yeah, he did really well, and is a no-brainer to start Tuesday after some of the shambles that we saw for the first, sort of 75 minutes.
Yeah. Well, after getting the 1 goal back, we did keep pushing. We kept pushing. Didn't quite get the final ball right, but there was 9 minutes added on. Obviously, 5 minutes for the Ledbetter injury. Crewe decided a time waste, which in the end has came back, and I suppose you call it a karma.
Bit in the arms.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it.
But there was goal kick. Lee Burgess took it. He's booted it straight down the pitch. Charlie Wykes won the header. He's knocked on to Chris Mcguire, and I think it's bounced twice. He's hit it clean on the half volley from 30 yards and just flew into the other top corner, Michael. And it's not often you see a screamer scored in a game in League One. It's even less often that you see 2 of them in the same half.
Yeah, it's definitely extremely rare because the quality in this league probably isn't there. It says a lot about. I feel sorry for Jordan Jones because he scored an absolute worldie to get us back in the game, and I don't think it was our best goal of the game.
Overshadowed by that one.
I think Mcguire's. Obviously both goals were important, but Mcguire's was just like, I tell you what, it's very rare that I take draws in this league. I'm usually disappointed every time we don't win a game. But I'll tell you what, the way the game went yesterday, I was absolutely buzzing when that Mcguire goal went in, knowing full well we were outplayed, outfought, outbattled for a good 75, 80 minutes of the game. And only really the last 15, 20 minutes was probably marginally less shite. And to see that goal go in was just something. If Sunderland use this to their advantage, and it's not a given, knowing Sunderland, but if we use this to our advantage, that could be a big momentum shift. It could be something that we use getting into coming games. And I will point out as well, Jones, as when you were talking about Jones earlier, I think Jones has got to start the next game. Has Jones started a league game for us yet?
He hasn't.
No, just MK Dons in the cup.
Dons in the cup. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Well, maybe that's why he's starting. He's reserving him for the Pizza Trophy final. For the league games coming out, Jones has got to start. I think with Mcguire, however, that is a great goal. Don't get me wrong, but I think in a general sense with Mcguire, the crosses he was putting into the box were decent. 09, I think it was 09. Right after we scored the first one, should have really levelled the score. But I would like to see a bit more from Mcguire. But I'll tell you what, he's at least forcing himself, hopefully, back into Lee Johnson's mind, which can only be a good thing. Hopefully, the rest of the players show that level of application.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we weren't sure if we would see Mcguire play again a few weeks ago, but he has. He's played a couple of times. He came off the bench, and yesterday he definitely looked like the player that we've seen so many times in this division. And for as long as he's up for the fight and willing to put 110% in, he certainly has a chance to play a big part in the business end of the season. And it's strange to say it, but even when you're 97 minutes into a game at 2-2, having been 2-0 down, I think myself and probably a lot of other people genuinely thought we could have actually went on to win the game in the last few seconds. Obviously, Winchester headed just over the bar with one of the last kicks of the game. I think it was from Chris Mcguire free kick again. But John, it was it's a great way to finish a game that, in all honesty, as Michael said earlier, we didn't deserve anything out of.
Now, like you say, at 2-0, we'll take a point. We'll snap their hands off, especially an absolutely dreadful performance. What you need now is, you need the reaction. I mean, the reaction from Johnson in terms of his team selection. Because you could probably take most of them out of the team from there. I'd probably slightly disagree with Michael, and I think maybe Mcguire. Maybe this is the sort of rocket up the backside, and I think he could do the starting. And say, you've done that for 20 odd minutes and obviously scoring. Imagine how he's feeling now. He'd be brimming with confidence, especially at home as well. And I think he could be, a massive asset, especially starting with his free kicks as well, which were quality. We just didn't have anyone on the end of them.
Yeah. And one of the things I said last week, Michael, I think I said to John, as much as we all want to, as much as some people kind of expect us to, you aren't going to win every game between now and the end of the season. But the games that you don't win, it's vital that you don't lose them. And that's what we managed yesterday from what seemed like an impossible situation, really.
Yeah, well, we're the draw specialists this season, aren't we? So
we are most in the league by some distance, I think.
Yeah, I think we've got something like 12 draws or whatever it is. We've by far drawn the most out of anyone in the top six. I do get the point, though, that when this is what I'm talking about, the results that cost Sunderland in the long run if we don't get top two, which at the minute I still don't think we will. The results that cost us are the defeats to Plymouth, MK Dons, Wigan and Shrewsbury. It's those type of games that are the ones where, even if you got points from those games, I know it's impossible, obviously, but if you got points in those games, you'd be only 2 points off second. So it is vital not to lose. And when you look at it, Plymouth, thankfully, did us a favour, beat Lincoln. Yeah, Peterborough and Hull won, but you expected that. But other than those two, results went in our favour, and we closed the gap to the top two to 6 points, which is pretty huge. Ahead of a massive week in terms of the 2 home games we've got coming up. So, yeah, it's just about momentum. Just keep going, keep pushing, keep making the other team shit themselves, to be perfectly frank.
Yeah. And John, I'm just looking at the table there, and you look, Sunderland have lost the least amount of games in the league, but they've also drawn 2 more than any other team in the league. And out of the top 6, I think they've drawn 5 more than any other team in the top 6. So realistically, we're not far off being a team that can win the league if we can just turn a few of them draws into wins, because we're such a hard team to beat, and we have been, for a long time in this division. But it's just turning them draws into wins that seem to hold us back.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, with Parkinson before, we did really struggle to break those teams down. But you'd think under Johnson, we can do that now. We're in a position, and like I say, getting a point yesterday after a dreadful performance, we'll take that all day long. It's about, if you're not going to win the game, then we need to at least draw. The performance is obviously unacceptable, and you'd expect a reaction. But just keeping the points flowing, you'd expect the next. If we win the next 2 games before the Portsmouth one, then you'd probably say this is not actually a bad point, because we're not. We're not of the consistent level that we're just gonna we're going to win every game. Those stupid results that we had before, obviously, your Wigans and stuff like that. Those are the ones that are giving us the shortfall at the moment, because otherwise we'd be right up there and amongst it. But we really do need to keep consistently those points flowing now.
Yeah. We'll move into the favourite part. Maybe not so much this week, but the player ratings.
Oh yeah, this will be fun.
It will be. It'll be interesting as well. Could be very interesting. But Lee Burge in goal. Couldn't really do awfully much with the goals. Positioning could have been slightly better, but again, that's probably been a little bit too critical. But he put us under pressure a little bit with his distribution. I know there was one time he had no one near him. He's played a ball out to Conor McLaughlin and it went out for throw-in. Just needless little mistakes like that sometimes do prove to make a big difference. If you're trying to keep the ball, settle the game down, you've got your keeper playing passes like that out here. It's not going to help. He massive let off in the second half when the linesman flagged for a goal kick. I'm not sure whether it actually went out or not, but a cross went into the box. It went straight through his hands. And Deion Sanderson was also there to clear it off the line anyway. But I've given him a 4 out of 10, possibly a little bit harsh, but got to go with what you say, I suppose. I suppose it's not a 10 for you this week, John, because he did concede.
Yeah, no, he doesn't get a 10 this week. No, he's on a 4. Obviously, exactly what you just said, puts us under pressure. Simple balls, he just boots out of play, which puts us under pressure again. Spilled one, just not really a great day. Couldn't do anything with the goals, but yeah, not a great day for him.
Michael, for you?
Same with you guys. It would have to be a 4. He wasn't a fault for either of the goals. For me, that lies with the defence, but ultimately he is still part of the back line that's let in 2 goals, and you two have already touched on the other things. So yeah, 4.
Yeah. Conor McLaughlin started on the right of the back 3, which I'm saying the back 3. I still think it was a back 3, although Sunderland and Danny Collins and Frankie did say it was back 4, but I'm going to say it was back 3. So I'm going to say Conor McLaughlin did start there. Obviously, the first goal, he's on the right of the defence, and the players made a run in between him and Sanderson, I believe it was, unless they'd switched positions. I'm not entirely sure. But, as Michael said, he was part of the defence that were just cut open far too often at the back. So I've went with a 5 out of 10 for McLaughlin. John?
I've gone with 4. I thought he was losing possession far too easily. And you've reverted to type, just sort of winging those balls down the wing to absolutely no one. And, Crewe just sort of just hoovered up nice and easily and recycled the ball fairly easily. I'm not sure. Yeah, like you said, Danny says it was a back 4. We're saying, I don't even know what it is. And to be fair, the players didn't look like they knew either. So it's probably one of them. But yeah, I've gone before. I wasn't impressed.
Did get an assist. That not boost your rating up a little bit?
Yeah, that boosted him up to a 4, because I'd give him a 3 because he was on par with McFadden in the second half when he went to left back. He was dreadful.
Fair enough. Michael, for you, Conor McLaughlin.
I was going to try and be generous and boost up to a 5 because of an assist for the goal, but that's mainly Jordan Jones's own work. So I'd say 4 because again he was caught. He was far too high up the pitch for the first goal. I was looking at where everybody was, and I was watching the streaming. Where the hell's McLaughlin? So, but yeah, 4.
Yeah. Deion Sanderson played in the middle of the back 3, and I'm possibly being a bit generous because defensively we were poor, but I think out of the 3 defenders, he was, head and shoulders above the other 2. That first pass into the middle for their goal, he should probably still be doing better, but, he stood up to his attack as well. Obviously, he cleared the one off the line that did eventually go out for a goal kick. He made another vital block. I think it was in the second half. It went just wide for corner. So I think he, as an individual, I don't think he did anything wrong. But possibly generous, but I'll give Sanderson a 7. John?
That's quite high. That I've gone for 5. I don't. No, the things he did wrong seem to stand up more than the things he did right, and it's probably because of the standard that he set himself, and obviously the last few performances, and he's been sort of solid. And a few times, I just wasn't impressed yesterday. A few last-ditch tackles were okay, and he didn't help. He didn't help himself after McFadden's dreadful throw-in, and just sort of let it roll across him. But he did well to recover. But McFadden and Sanderson himself have put themselves in that position to make that tackle, if you see what I mean, when it didn't really need to be. You don't need to let the ball roll across you, especially on the edge of the 18-yard box when they've got 3 players on the high press that they've been doing all game. So yeah, I wasn't impressed either yesterday. So I've given him a 5.
Talk about having 2 Grim Reapers on the podcast there.
Yeah.
Michael, for you,
I'll go slap bang in the middle. I'll go 6. I'm gonna partly to be awkward and partly just because of that block that he made to stop it being 3-0. Even though it did eventually, I think, go out for a goal kick, but obviously you didn't know that at the time he made the block. So, yeah, maybe I'm being generous, but I'm gonna go 6.
Yeah. Luke O'Nien on the other side of the back 3. Similar to McLaughlin, was caught out far too often. The second goal. I think Lowry was closest to O'Nien. Could he probably do better? I don't know. I haven't watched it back. I'm not going to watch it back. But again, I've given him the same rating as McLaughlin, so I've went with a 5. John?
I've gone for 4. I thought yesterday he was all over the place, and a couple of times he was really deep. It was like 30 yards inside our own half when we were attacking. I don't know why. Maybe it's we know he's not a centre back, but I'd expect him to be a lot high. Because when he gets the ball and he can carry the ball through, that does help us a lot. And all as well, really frustrated me because we know he's good at it. Is Mcguire's ball into the box and Luke and I doesn't put it away. That really did frustrate me because it was sort of like just get something on it and it's a tap in. So yeah, I wasn't impressed with yesterday. So yeah, I've given him a 4.
Michael, for you?
4. I think this is going to be the 4s club instead of the 6s, isn't it?
Plenty of 3s and 2s coming.
Oh yeah, well, okay, fair enough. Yeah, 4's probably more generous, isn't it? Out of all the ratings you can give in the pod. Yeah, I think that 09 didn't cover himself in glory with the first one either. I know that Mandron, to be fair, played really well, but he's probably going to against us. But I felt 09 showed him too much respect in the build up to the first goal, and yeah. But like you guys said earlier, though, I think the whole back 3, and I'm with you guys. I think it is a back 3. I don't think Sanderson was okay, but I don't think in general they covered themselves in glory. So let's just move on.
Yeah. Callum McFadden started as the left wing back, and as Michael said, he's took the worst win I've ever seen. Just strange.
You're speechless.
I don't know how else to describe it. First goal, his man got in front of him. Could he do better? For him, probably not. Should he be doing better as a fullback? Yes. Again, the second goal, he's just kind of stuck a leg out without actually pressing the man, putting the ball in the box. Again, is he capable of better? Probably not. Should he be doing better? Definitely. So I went with a 2. John?
Yeah, same. I've gone for 2. The only real notes I've got is I just put looks shit at this level, and that's all I can say. And it's a common theme every week. Like he can't control it. He's not any good going forward. He can't defend, so I don't know why he's in there. I hope Jake Vokins has a good training session today and tomorrow.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
No comment. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, probably a 1. 1 just because he was on
turning up.
Yeah, 1 because he was on the pitch. That's it.
Participation trophy. That's what you get, isn't it?
Yep, that's it. That's the perfect way. Well done, you're so shit. You've won the participation trophy.
Lyndon Gooch started on the other side. In the first half, I think he was the only player that really looked up for it. He drove forward. He had our only shots on goal. I don't think anyone else actually had an effort on goal in the first half, potentially even in the first 70 minutes. We're still very wasteful in possession, and we've seen a lot, but purely because he was the only player that looked alive in the first half, I went with a 6, which is possibly a little bit generous again, but it is what it is, John.
Who's it for?
Lyndon.
Oh, see, I've gone really low. I've gone for 3. I thought his decision making was dreadful, and he just really frustrated me. I'm probably marking him down. The whole thing in the second half where he's running through, and he could just play someone in, and he tried to sort of pirouette around 3 players, and just he does it, but the ball doesn't even go with him. The ball goes the other way, he goes the other way. Throws his arms in the air, and that just sums his last 3 weeks up. Yeah, that just sums up the last 3 weeks for me. Just he's running down. He's like an accomplished Jack Diamond, if you see what I mean. Sort of just blind alleys. You don't really know where he's going. I wasn't impressed. The only reason I think he's in the team is because he works hard getting back. But even that yesterday, he wasn't he wasn't even doing that. And I wasn't that impressed. Yeah, I've gone with a very harsh 3, but
Michael, for you?
10. Be radically different. Seriously though, 4, because I think that my biggest, I've said it before, I think Gooch's work rate is second to none. I like that, but even yesterday I thought that, I do actually agree with you that I think he was one of the few players that actually looked like he was trying to make something happen. My biggest frustration with Gooch is that he tries to be the Ronaldo of League One, and he needs to realise that he's not good enough to skin 5 players and bury one in the top corner. I don't mind.
More of a Januzaj of League One.
Yeah, sorry?
More of a Januzaj in League One.
That's actually that's a disservice to Lyndon Gooch, because at least Lyndon Gooch has work rate in. But I get your point. I think his decision making is just very questionable. I don't mind players that try to feel they can take players on, but only if there's a place to do it. Where if there isn't another player to pass on to, then fair enough. But if there is and there's other options, Gooch tends to be too selfish. But you know what? I'm going to say 4, but that's because I know he's better than that, personally.
Yeah. I think anyone listening to this podcast is going to have a vision of John just wearing full black.
Yeah,
how depressing these ratings are. Just full black, sat in a dark room by himself.
Sunderland players,
all justified.
I'd recommend you don't listen.
A little bit of metal music on in the background. You got your mascara on yet?
Are you trying to say John's going full goth like?
You're going that way with these ratings. I'm sure it will get higher at some point. Possibly.
Oh, I don't know. If we do the subs this week, yeah.
We'll do subs this week, just so we can end on something positive.
We can bring the average up.
Yeah, the average to 4.
Average up to a 4. Josh Scowen came back into the team, very weak on the ball and off the ball. His passing, he just kicks it. He doesn't know where he's kicking it. He just kicks it, we lose it, and then he runs back, he gets pushed off the ball, and he's just very inefficient in a 2-man midfield, which, with the system we play, that tends to be a 2-man midfield. I think when we went back to when we played a 4-3-3, you've got Ledbetter sitting, then you've got 2 midfielders in front. I think Josh Scowen does a much better job there. But as a midfield too, he just isn't the man, really. I went with a 4, John.
Oh, he gets another 3 from me. Again, I put another one. I thought he was dreadful. He didn't really press. He didn't really keep the ball. Wasn't really, didn't keep us ticking over. I wasn't impressed at all. In the first half, someone played a ball into him from sort of 5 yards, and Danny mentioned it. He had it fired into him, and we lost possession.
Yeah.
That's a little bit harsh. But then you saw Scowen sort of look up and say, like, what are you doing? Then second half, just as we kick off, he does the same to someone else. Literally fires a ball in to someone, like proper smash. It's like, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? So So yesterday, no, not for me at all. I wasn't having it. Like, his best game is the pressing, and he didn't do any of that, so it's a waste of time having him in there. So 3.
The sun continues to go down over John's house.
It's very sunny here, actually.
Michael, for you?
Well, the sun will come crashing down over my house, because I'm going to give him a 3 as well. I think that the annoying thing, again, I've said with Josh Cowan, is the fact that he's came in, and I'm pretty sure he's playing regularly for QPR. How can he not look more effective at this level? I don't get it.
Scored a screamer for QPR in one of his last games as well. I don't think I've ever seen him hit the target since he signed for us.
One of my mates has said something that's going to sound completely ridiculous, but I actually agree with him. He said that he rates Scowen technically, but at the same time, he can't pass a ball, which is stupid. But what he means is that technically, I can see there's technically a player there. It's just that every time he tries the simple stuff, he cocks it up almost every time. It's ridiculous. I don't know, like Josh, Josh Scowen, passing a ball is pretty fundamental with a footballer, right? Pass a ball.
Especially midfielder.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Again, like with Gooch, I think Scowen, I think, is capable of much better than he's performing at the minute. But he just didn't come. Like, everybody covered himself in no glory yesterday.
Yeah. Max Power started next to him. Very similar to Josh Scowen. His passing was poor. His tracking back was nowhere near as efficient and as consistent as it has been in the last few weeks. He's normally one of the first midfielders back. He's normally there helping out the defence, clearing the ball. I think the first goal, I'm not sure where he was. Same with Scowen, not sure where they were for the first goal, but I've given him a 5 instead of the 4, purely because I think he was a lot stronger in the tackle than Josh Scowen was. But other than that, he was very poor again, John.
I'll give him a 4. I thought he was busy.
We're up from a 3.
Yeah, he was busy, but without really doing anything. He's had a few shots the last few weeks from outside the box. I just expect him to do maybe a little bit better. I didn't see him sort of kicking everyone up the arse like he was on and last midweek. Sorry, but yeah, I didn't even really notice him either. So yeah, that frustrated me. But yeah, I've gone for 4.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
Same rate, 4. It's the same thing with the other two. Didn't perform anywhere near what I think he's capable of. The only reason he got higher than a scoring is because he shouted a bit. That's it.
Yeah, that's a fair way of putting it. Aydah Mckady started and just did nothing. Every time he got the ball, he lost it. Didn't really offer anything. He's chipped in with a few goals here and there over the last few weeks, but he never once looked like, even getting a shot off or even hitting the target. So I think I initially went with a 5, but I'll say a 4 just so I can join the club. John, for you?
Yeah, I've gone for 4. Again, his pressing wasn't there at all. He didn't threaten anything the whole game, apart from maybe 2 seats when he went over the hoardings. That was the only time he threatened anything.
Twice in a week as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's one of them. If he doesn't contribute 1 or 2 little things, then it is a waste of time having him in there. He's played okay the last 2 games, obviously with a goal and the week before he played okay, but yesterday absolutely dreadful, and I wouldn't have him starting. Tuesday definitely one coming out.
Yeah, Michael, Phil.
See, I'm going to be being more harsher. I'm going to go with the 3. The only thing I'll tell you what, he also joins Mcfadzean in the participation trophy, but there's 2 things he did. 1, he's not Callum Mcfadzean, and 2, he actually had a shot in the first few minutes of the game. But yeah, I wasn't impressed with him at all. And like John said, I would not start him. In fact, to be honest, the next 2 games I wouldn't start him. Get Jones in there, please.
Yeah. Aydah Mckady has been on fire since Lee Johnson came in. I think he's had an assist in almost every game he's played. Looked like scoring in almost every game he's played, albeit he hasn't scored in many of them. But yesterday, thinking back to the game, I can't remember him actually touching the ball. And a lot of that is down to the players around him not getting the ball to him as often as we have in the recent games. But even when he got the ball, he couldn't beat his man. He couldn't get a ball into the box. Never looked like getting a shot off. He was just similar to O'Brien. I think it's harsh because Mcgady's been very good, but he really was a waste of a shirt yesterday. So again, I've given him a 4, John.
I went for 5. I thought he did.
Oh my God!
I know he did.
Coming up.
He did try and did a few things. I think with a player like that, they've doubled up on him, sometimes trebled up on him, and I don't think anyone else in our team is worthy of needing that. So they were able to do that sort of with ease and just nullified him. Our movement in front of him and sort of to the side of him wasn't good enough. And when would you ever see Mcgady knock it back to Mcfadzean? Whereas yesterday, it seemed to constantly go back to him, whereas he wouldn't even entertain giving it to him. So that you could tell, sort of tactically, it wasn't going to happen at all. I was probably a little bit annoyed to see him come off because I think maybe he could do something out of nothing. But it wasn't, like you say, it wasn't his day. He didn't really do anything. And 5 for me.
Michael, for you?
I was going to go with the 3, but then I actually think I'll bump it up to a 4 because of what John said about the Crewe doubling up on him. But even then, I thought he did a couple of step overs. That's about all I can remember him. The most effective thing he did was get off the pitch quickly to allow the subs to come on. That's it.
Yeah. Charlie White is the last in the starting 11, and we would normally finish on the starting 11, but I think I'm feeling a bit down after Leeds waiting, so I'm going to have to find a way of increasing the mood. But Charlie White,
I need a bit of positivity.
needs something. But Charlie White, you couldn't keep the ball yesterday. As I said, he missed a good chance to pull one back after about 55, 60 minutes or so. That he hit over the bar. As I've said, the first half he had another good chance, albeit it was offside. But I think it left the stadium to strike. So I've given him a 3, John.
I probably would have gone before, but he did set up Mcguire and actually win a header, which is a weird thing for a striker to do. He didn't really do anything, didn't bully anyone. You'd expect him at least to get his left foot shot, on target. But apart from that, just gave the Crewe back line, an easy day, and they probably absolutely loved it. Everyone's been raving White for the last few weeks, and inform this, and going to the Euros, blah blah blah. But he absolutely didn't do anything yesterday, and I would have gone for 4, but I bumped him up to a 5 for the assist, and obviously we didn't really help him either. He's very isolated again. But 5, and second game. Is it second or third game without a goal now?
Second,
yeah.
Second, yeah. So goal drought.
Michael, for you?
4. I'll give him a 4 probably just because of the fact that he got the header, which allowed White to score what hopefully will turn out to be an important point.
Yeah. I find it amazing these ratings that we've given, and we've still actually managed to pick up a point.
Probably because we've set a higher standard, and we know that we can be a lot better than that. But I do get your point, yeah.
Okay, subs. Don't normally do this, but I need some lift. So, Jordan Jones. In fact, no, we'll start the other way around. Carl Winchester came on. I'm not going to rate Ledbetter. I'll give him a 6. But Carl Winchester came on, did nothing special. But the more I see him, I think he could do a job in midfield. He is very similar to Ledbetter. He likes to get his foot on the ball and kind of dictate the play. And he likes a Cruyff turn. He likes the back heel. And I think he just could offer something in midfield that we don't have at the minute. He's not as defensive as Ledbetter, but I think he is as capable defensively as Ledbetter. And obviously, I think he has a bit more energy in him. So just give him a generic 6 when he came on, John. Not much to talk about.
I would have gone for 6. But then I think the last cross from Mcguire is perfect, and he just needs to cushion his header, and we win the game. So maybe I'm being slightly harsh there, but you would expect someone getting their head on that to put it away. So I've gone for 5.
Michael, for you?
So I would have probably gone maybe a 7 or 8 had he scored that. I would say 5 as well, but I will point out he's going to be forced his way into the manager's plans now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him start in midweek against Swindon.
Yeah. Jack Diamond came on, ran around. 5 out of 10. John? Simple as that for me.
Yeah, I've gone with 5. I think he's still poor. There was one time where he had all the space in front of him, maybe even one man to beat, and he's decided to turn back and go around 3 players and then give it back to sort of max power at right.
He always seems to come back every single time he goes forward. He always seems to turn back.
He gets slated off the bench, I think, for not keeping the ball sometimes. So even when we need the risk maybe taken, Jones is taking the risk and taking players on. We need Diamond to do it the other side, but he's almost a little bit scared now, so he sort of turns back and just plays it safe. And we don't need that. He needs to have a bit more freedom and a bit more. You might lose the ball once or twice, but on the one hand, you're going to do what Jordan Jones did.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
5. Same reason as you. Ran around a bit, at least offered a bit more energy and a bit more fight.
Yeah, I think I need to mark him down because he still has that awful haircut, doesn't he?
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm sure he'll be looking forward to the hairdresser's opening as much as I will be. I'm sure you are as well, John.
I need to get my boys' haircut, not mine.
Jordan Jones, onto a positive one, hopefully. I gave Sanderson a 7, which was possibly generous, so I suppose I'll give Jones an 8. He came on, scored one of the goals of the season. Every time he got the ball, he looked a real threat. He has the pace to beat his man. He has the dribbling ability to beat his man. He can put a good ball in the box, and obviously, when you've got a player like that on the bench, they can be on the pitch for 5 minutes, having hardly played all season, and then fire one into the far top corner. It is certainly a good option to have, and for me, he should have probably been starting games 2 weeks ago. I would have liked to have seen him start yesterday. He didn't. He came on, but surely he has to start on Tuesday, possibly over O'Brien, although we will talk about the lineup a little bit because it could be interesting on Tuesday. So I'll give him an 8, John.
Yeah, I've gone for an 8 as well. He definitely turned the game in our favour. With that bit of quality as well. He was running at defenders, which gave you, if you saw, they were putting sort of 3 players over him on the end, and he was still either getting past them or drawing the fouls. So it was creating space on the other side of the pitch. So he's done really well. And like you say, he's a shoo-in to start at Tuesday, and obviously going forward.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
8 as well. Even though I did say Mcguire's was the better goal, but I think Jones made the bigger impact when he came on. you could tell that he was torturing their right back, he was torturing their right side, and again turned the game back in our favour. And obviously, without his goal, we couldn't have got a point. So 8, and like you two have said, surely Johnson has to start him on Tuesday.
Yeah. And last but certainly not least, Chris Mcguire came on. Not been impressed with him this season. Just hasn't bothered, hasn't put the work rate in, and every time he's got the ball, he's looked very lazy. Came on yesterday, looks a completely different player. And I think in a way, Lee Johnson kind of, I think someone put it on Twitter, kind of drip feeding him game time will motivate him. And obviously that goal yesterday, a 97th minute equaliser, will only help to motivate him even further. So again, I'll give him an 8. Thought his free kicks that he put into the box were a lot better than he has been in the last few weeks. On another day, someone gets the end of that and you probably win the game 4-2 with 4 goals in the 95th, 6th, 7th and 8th minute. But 8 out of 10 for me, John.
Yeah, same. Set plays were class. Obviously an absolute quality finish. And, you know, Mcguire's the type of player that he needs to be sort of dropped from the squad to, you know, to see if we can get a reaction. Hopefully this, you know, gets a reaction that he can maybe start games and maybe just find that little bit of consistency, you know, playing week in, week out. You would have hoped we're playing Tuesday and Saturday, you know, till the end of the season now. So there's got to be, you know, he's got to be one in there. And as long as he's doing the business, he's not going to, you know, that's the incentive. You're not going to come out of the team if you're playing well. So, you know, hopefully he does start on Tuesday and keeps up, you know, what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
I was debating with a 7. No, screw it. I'll go with an 8. His set pieces again were very good. We were very unlucky. Well, he was unlucky that one we didn't score from at least one of the free kicks that he popped into the box. And yeah, like John said, like you both have said, this has got to be an incentive for Mcguire to step up his game. Because like I've said with a few other players, I think Mcguire's performed well below what his standard should be this season. So hopefully this is the start of something good going forward.
Yeah. And John, Jordan Jones, Callum McFadzean or Chris Mcguire? Who's your man of the match?
Oh, it's a tough one, that. I think Jones and Mcguire just edge McFadzean. So we'll take McFadzean out of the running. Yeah. I think Jones is man of the match. I think with his, like I said earlier, it's a bit of a James McLean sort of reaction to the game where he's just direct, shows his quality, and you know, the goal obviously gives us that tiny bit of belief that we were totally lacking. It should be there anyway, but it's, you know, it took a class player to come on and do that for us to, you know, which could be a very, very important point for us coming into the season. So yeah, I'll go with Jones, and he has to start Tuesday.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
McFadzean wins. Like I said, McFadzean's the king of the participation trophy. Mcguire's goal was the best of the game, but I agree with John. I think Jordan Jones is man of the match just because I think he, like I said, he was the game changer in that game. Even though we still weren't great, you could tell that Crewe were terrified of him every time he went forward. So Jones, no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, the next game, as we've mentioned a few times now, is on Tuesday against Swindon Town at home. John, I'll start with you at the game. The score predictions, you think, for the game?
I think it has to be a massive reaction in performance. So I think we are going to win.
7-0?
I'll just go with 3-0, but I'll take 6-0. I'll take 8-9. I'll take 11-7, but I'll go with 3-0. Yeah, I'll go with 3-0.
Michael, for you? Not sure if I'd be pleased about conceding 7, like.
Sorry?
Against Swindon. Not sure if I'd be convinced I'd be happy with conceding 7 on Tuesday.
Well, think what I'm like. I'm usually annoyed when we concede 1 or 2 goals. I think my blood pressure would go through the roof if we conceded 7. But yeah, 2-0 Sunderland. I think we are going to react from this, and we have to look at ourselves if we don't win on Tuesday.
Yeah. And just quickly, we'll do the lineup. I'm not sure if you've looked at the leaderboard on FanHub, John, but obviously there's a lot more people involved now.
Yeah.
So I think there is over 300 people involved now. I'm currently 103rd, and I believe you are significantly lower. You are.
Yeah, that's just Johnson though. He's just a tinker man.
I'm still scrolling.
Do you know what I mean? And obviously in my team every week I'm putting Dan New in my team, and he's just not putting him in.
Michael is 325th.
Well, I've done great, haven't I? hang on. Sunderland. Okay, here we go. 30th on the Sunderland out of 34. Oh, well, get me sacked in the morning then.
John's 25th out of 34.
That's not bad.
John,
Really.
I'm coming for you.
Lower mid-table.
Playoff push. That's what you're going for, John, isn't it?
Crewe Alexander, I got 10 out of 11, so that weren't too bad, and 91% accuracy.
I'm just below that. I think I got 9 out of 11 right and 82%, so I'll take that.
Well, we're talking about Tuesday being a reaction. I think there needs to be a reaction as well, team selection wise, from the manager to set out to say, look, this wasn't good enough. I gave you the chance at half time, and you didn't really take it. So there has, he needs to react just as much as this team does, and he needs to do it in his team selection to show a few people that that's not acceptable. Where we want high standards. The new owners come in, he's setting the standards. Promotion is the target. If that's the target, we've got to step it up, and those are not acceptable.
Yeah, we'll quickly move into the lineup, and John, you can pick a formation that you think we might go with, and I'll tell the team. Right, the team that I said on Twitter was a team that I think I would like to see us go with. It's not the team that I think we'll go with, but I think I'd Lee Burge in goal, Luke O'Nien at right back, Conor McLaughlin and Dion Sanderson as the two centre backs, Jake Vogans at left back, obviously. A midfield two of Winchester and Power, with Chris Mcguire, Aydah Mckady, Jordan Jones playing behind Charlie Wyke. Now that is the team I would have liked to see us go with. 4-2-3-1. 3 very creative players behind a man in form in Charlie Wyke. But it's not about what we want to see. It's about what we think we will see. So, formation you think we're going to go with, John?
Probably the 3-4-3, I think, again, but just with different personnel.
3-4-3. And Michael, you can have the very tough decision of picking the goalkeeper.
Oh, Remy Matthews, do I start him?
You've got Lee Burge, Adam Richardson, Remy Matthews, or Anthony Patterson.
Matthews, I feel very sorry for him. I think he's just got to get my condolences because Lee Burge easily.
Lee Burge. First defender for you, John. Obviously, I'm still not sure what's happening with Flanagan. So,
good point. I'll go with Sanderson. Then he's not going to come out.
Sanderson. Second defender, Michael.
Sanderson. In the back, yeah, it'll be Luke O'Nien. Will be in there, I think.
Oh, that's Adam Richardson. Luke O'Nien. Third defender, Sean.
I think.
You think Luke O'Nien's going to play twice?
Oh, McLaughlin. Sorry.
I wish he could. Can we not clone Luke O'Nien and have 11?
Play 11 of them. It would be an option. Right of the midfield four, Michael.
Right of the midfield four. So this is effectively right wing back, isn't it?
Sort of. Presuming that we're going to go with this.
Lyndon Gooch then has to. I can't see it being anybody else.
Lyndon Gooch. Midfield, John. First one.
I think Carl Winchester's going to play. Although I'd have Dan Neal in there, but it's going to be Winchester. I think we need a bit more creativity.
Yeah. Second midfielder, Michael.
So we said Winchester. Yeah, it's probably going to be Power. I just think it's. I don't know what it is. I think it's the fact he's captain as well, which I don't agree. I've defended Power quite a bit actually, but I don't think just because you're captain means you should be undroppable. But I think Johnson will probably persist with him.
Yeah. Left wing back, John.
Please say Vokins.
Yeah, we've got to play Vokins. If he plays McFadden, then that's not reacting like we were just saying. So yeah, it's got to be Vokins.
First of two wingers, Michael.
Right, I'll stick my neck on the line and say Jordan Jones will start, and about bloody time as well.
Jordan Jones. Second winger, John.
It's going to be Mcguire, I think, at home.
Mcguire. And Michael, any particular striker?
Will Grigg. Oh wait, he's on loan. Charlie Wyke.
I mean, Danny Graham's still on the front hub up.
Danny Graham. Oh yeah. Hey Danny, do you fancy a spell back for like 3 months?
Could do a job at left back, to be fair.
Yeah, actually, I'd rather have him than McFadden. Okay, get him in.
Definitely an option. What's Andrea Dossena doing nowadays? I wonder if he's still playing.
That's like the lesser of two evils, that.
Still remember him from the Premier League. Who was the French one we had? We had a French right back, didn't we? What was he called?
Revellier, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's him.
Antoine Riviere. He was good, He was very good.
Got 34 when we signed him as well, isn't he?
How old would he be now then? Would he be in his 40s? Hang on, he'd be in his early 40s, wouldn't he?
Feels like he's probably about 60 with how long we've been in this league.
Well, I'll tell you what, don't care. Still get him in at left back.
If you're old enough, good enough,
yeah. I like that.
Well, that is all we have time for today, as if this hasn't been on for over an hour now. But thank you for coming on and having a massive rant, John and Michael.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, always. I definitely feel better after that. Thanks.
Yeah. You might want to go and open your curtains and your blinds now, John.
Yeah, I'm going to play football with the band now, so.
We will be back again on Wednesday, hopefully to talk a lot more positive about the game. Obviously, we are against Swindon, who currently sit in 18th in the league. Not in the greatest form. I think they've played the most amount of games in the league. Obviously, joint on 31 games played, which is only one more than us, actually, which is a little bit worrying. But we will be back then. But until then, we will see you later.
That's all, folks.